Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing good out there. This is going to be my top 10 list for 2013. You guys can disagree down below in the comments. To keep the video kind of short, let me go through a couple honorable mentions real quick because the first 9 movies came really quickly. The 10th one I had to think about, so that led to honorable mentions. And Dark Skies was one that came out at the beginning of the year, mainstream horror movie. Kind of liked what they did with that. Barely made it even as an honorable mention though on this list. But I did like some of the elements. Watched Here Comes the Devil last night. Wanted to see that before I did my top 10 list. Really great horror movie. Definitely check that one out. I don't think it was, if I was doing a top 10 horror, it would definitely be on there. Antiviral, Brandon Cronenberg. His first film. He's David Cronenberg's son. I like that film, but I might need to watch it again to quantify it. And The Battery, kind of a buddy zombie movie. Kind of reminded me of a zombie movie with a little bit of Dazed and Confused mixed in a good way, believe me. It's definitely a zombie one. If you're a zombie fan, you want to check out. That gets us to our top 10, 1 minute into this damn video. I wanted to keep it short, but it's not going to be that way. So at number 10, any of the other ones probably could have been 10, but I really like Shane Carruth, and this is his second film, Upstream Color. The story is basically 2 people that have been exposed to this weird organism in the movie, have to deal with it. And it's basically like 2 heroin addicts recovering, but with a sci-fi twist. It's not a sci-fi film. It looks contemporary, but it has this weird sci-fi element of the organism. And it's really artsy on some levels. The acting is Shane Carruth, stars in it as well. And it's artsy, but I liked it, and it evoked emotion. And it had the sci-fi twist. Really want to watch this film again just to see if I can absorb more. Number 9 is going to be the Soska twins' second movie. I'm sure you know who they are if you watch this channel. But American Mary, it's about this medical student, Mary, who kind of turns out to be a slasher through the course of the movie. They kind of blend some body horror elements into it, which I really liked with the body modification thing. I thought that was really cool. But the standout thing is Catherine Isabelle as Mary. Really just loved her performance. One of the best female characters of the year, definitely. And another good female performance in number 8 here is going to be Jugface. And Jugface, if you haven't heard of Jugface, if you like horror movies, a little bit more of a dramatic horror movie, watch this movie. It's so good. I would have loved to have seen a bigger budget, maybe a David Fincher version of this movie. But yeah, it's about this cult that lives in the backwoods. And instead of making the backwoods people just like dumb hillbillies, they make them, your heart feels for them a little bit. You never know quite what was going on with this cult, but they basically worship this thing in the ground, and the Jugface is like a prophecy. I'm sorry, of who's gonna be sacrificed to the hole in the ground. So that's why they call it Jugface. I know it sounds really weird. Great movie. Directed by Chad Crawford Kinkle. I wanted to mention his name definitely because I thought it was a great film. It did have some flaws, but just one you just have to check out. And the lead female in it was Lauren Ashley Carter. Like I said, great female lead in this one. And they also have the Will Ferrell guy who makes the Jugface. He's a great character. Sean Bridgers was his name. I wrote all their names because I thought their performances were strong. Definitely check out Jugface. I got all my notes here. Sorry. So that takes me to number 7. And this one's gonna, get into more of the mainstream, but it's Pacific Rim. Guillermo del Toro film. I'm sure you heard about it. Big monsters fighting big mechs. And I'm a sucker for mechs. I didn't even like Robotech as a kid, but I'm a sucker for mechs. And this is a good mech movie. The acting is not really important. It's not very good. The story is pretty basic. It's hard to wrap a complex story around it, but it looked great. I watched it with my kids when it came out. We all loved it. My kids loved it. It's a theater experience type movie. It did lose a little bit being on the small screen. Great looking movie, fun, sci-fi mechs. Like I said, disagree with me down below on my list because this one's going to probably piss even more people off. Number 6 is going to be Man of Steel. I'm a sucker for comic book movies. I've never been the biggest fan of Superman. I like the dark edge they took. I don't give a crap about the ending, the murder thing. The problem I had with the ending was that, 2 weeks later, they were all working back in the building like nothing had happened in the city. Definitely hope they explain the problems with the city in the second one. The more I hear about the second movie, it just sounds like it's going complete train wreck. But Man of Steel was cool. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I liked the way it was shot. I think Zack Snyder did a pretty decent job. All criticisms I accept. They're all valid because there's a ton of criticisms. But we had the action Superman that I've always wanted to see that makes me interested in Superman. And I kind of like the angry god idea or whatever that Zack Snyder was trying to get across. I'm sure they'll fuck it up more in the second one. That takes me to number 5. Evil Dead remake, Fede Alvarez. And this is another movie I really enjoyed it. I think it kind of broke down at the ending too. But when I went to see this movie, it was like a freaking madhouse. I was there all day. I wound up taking off work to see an early screening, and we were fighting with the people in the theater to make sure we got in because people trying to cut in front of us. And when I got in, I was so happy to see it. That probably had an effect on my review of the movie. But the beginning, for the diehard Evil Dead fans, which I've never been, I can see why they didn't like it. But it had a great tone to it. The action, the pacing at the beginning. I really just liked the violence part. And, it got horror people talking. I like that. It tried to step it up a little bit in the horror genre. It's arguable whether it succeeded or not. It definitely got a lot of attention to horror movies, so I think that should be commended. Whether you hated the ending, you hated whatever. I kind of like the action element to my horror. So I like horror and action, kind of like, Devil's Rejects, and I kind of liked Evil Dead for that reason, because it felt a little more action-y. That takes me to number 4, Gravity, and yeah, don't shut the video off. That's another movie I really loved. I saw it in the theater. It's one of those movies, it had to be seen in the theater to get the full enjoyment, I think. One of the only movies I enjoyed in 3D besides Dread last year. I hate 3D. But this movie, it really worked. The special effects are freaking excellent. And I got pulled into the story. I can't believe they were going to have Angelina Jolie do it. I don't even like Sandra Bullock, but I can't even believe I would have never bought it with Angelina Jolie. But I really liked it. And at the end, I was a little teary-eyed. I just appreciated the basic story of man overcoming, like, sort of, through exploration, overcoming nature and stuff like that. I'm a sucker for that crap, and I love space crap, and even though it wasn't scientifically apparently accurate at all, I guess I should have figured that, but also caught up in the emotional part and the tension of it. It did not matter. So Gravity's my number 4 movie. You had to see that one in the theater. Sorry. Number 3 is not 100% sure if it's been released yet, but Rewind This. And it's just a film. It's about VHS collectors, and it talks about the VHS video stores, how they came to prominence, and like the fall, and how the people, are still subculture keeping it alive. And it just really invoked a lot of nostalgia in me. I've watched it twice already. Love the music. Directed by Josh Johnson, the film, but produced by Panos Cosmatos, who did a movie directed Beyond the Black Rainbow. And it had that weird soundtrack like that. And then you have all these kind of like hipster guys talking about their VHS collections. Some, not hipsters, but some hipsters, definitely hipsters. But they're cool hipsters. I like it because they're keeping VHS alive. And I don't even collect VHS. But it just like when I saw all the video stores and the videos they were talking about. And it was just nice to know some of the background. I'm sure a lot of people know all that stuff if you're super big movie fans. But it was a nice, complete package. Interesting film. It wasn't too long. Nice music, looked good, and it definitely struck that nostalgia nerve in me. Probably buying more movies after that, realizing that, hard copy is a little more important. Yeah, call me stupid, but I liked Rewind This. All right, that takes me to number 2, and it's going to be VHS Part 2. I know a lot of people don't like VHS, the movie, the first one. They like the second one a lot better. I like both of them. I liked VHS 2. The first story was, maybe a little bit weaker. I still liked it. It had me jumping. I put it on. I wasn't expecting. I was jumping, like a sucker. I just love the found footage thing. I'm a guy that likes found footage. I know that's another reason to hate me, but I like found footage. I like the idea of the anthology. I like the way they combine it. I like the horror elements, especially in this one, I thought were a lot stronger, even though I liked the first one a lot. The third piece was crazy, man. And then the zombie in the park one, really like that. If you're a zombie fan, how could you not like it? And then, of course, Jason Eisener's final piece, the alien one. Great stuff. The wraparound was pretty good. I don't know, just probably the best horror movie. I thought it was the best horror movie, obviously, because I put it as a number 2. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't see one better this year. Let's put it that way. I like myself some VHS, though. So, number 1 is going to be Elysium. Yes, I know. Nobody liked Elysium that much, right? How come Joe liked it that much? I don't know. I like Neil Blomkamp's first film, District 9. I went in, obviously, expecting a lot. I don't know if it's as good as District 9. I don't think anybody thought it was, but I liked it. I like Matt Damon. I don't like all his movies. I like the Bourne movies. I think he's pretty good as an action hero. And when I watched, I was kind of analyzing when I made this list, why is this number 1? Why did I like this movie the best? And I think it's because it's kind of like a throwback to like an old school action movie. Just with updated, obviously, special effects and all that. And it just had a pretty straightforward plot. I don't care about all the liberal overtones or whatever. You can complain about all that. I think people should have medical care, whatever. I said that in the review. But that's not the part I liked about it. I just like the action. I like the robots. I like the mech, the little mech robots, the cops, and I was reading a review, a negative review, right before I did this video. Well, who mowed the lawns in Elysium? You never got to know who lived in Elysium. There was no characters. Well, who fucking mowed the lawns? It was the robots that mowed the lawns. If the robots were the cops, I'm sure they had them doing the lawns before they were doing policing. Let's put it that way. Ridiculous. That was the stupidest line in there. How come the medical beds weren't available on Earth? That's the same reason food isn't available to poor kids in Africa. It's a technological gap. You know, it was supposed to be like the heavens, like you were trying to reach heavens. That was the point of the movie. But I love the special effects. I love Matt Damon. Yes, it had a sappy ending, and yes, his character was kind of selfish, but that was cool. He was selfish. Yes, he wanted to live. He wanted to get fixed, and he was pissed off at the man. I mean, if you watch the movie, you can understand he was pissed off at the man. So that's my top 10. Argue down below with me. See you soon.